The story begins with a slow panoramic sweep over Zimbabwe, its golden sun rising over farmlands, hills, and cities. The narrator's voice cuts through like thunder. In the heart of Zimbabwe, long before the nation had fully healed from the struggles of its past, two names rose like a storm, names whispered in fear, names carried like curses on the wind, Chidhumo and Masendeke. They were not ordinary thieves. They were the kind of men whose shadows seemed to move ahead of them. From dusty rural roads to the crowded streets of Harare, stories of their daring crimes spread faster than wildfire. Chidhumo was sharp-eyed, calculating, a man whose mind was like a locked safe filled with impossible plans. Masendeke, broad-shouldered and relentless, was his hammer, the brute force that no wall or obstacle could withstand. Together they became the most dangerous duo Zimbabwe had ever seen. It began with small thefts, bank robberies, vanishing cars, and bold daylight heists. But what stunned the nation was not just what they stole, it was how they escaped capture. One by one, police cells failed to hold them. Iron bars bent without being touched. Locks remained unbroken, yet the prisoners were gone. Guards swore that they had checked, yet the cells were empty by morning. Whispers grew. They are not men. They are spirits. They vanish like smoke. Then came Chikurubi, maximum prison. The most feared fortress in the land, the graveyard of freedom. No one had ever broken out. But Chidhumo and Masendeke did, and they did it without breaking a single gate. The entire country woke up in shock. People filled the newspapers and radio stations with questions. Did they fly out? Are they using juju? Or are they demons sent to punish us? With every escape, their crimes grew bolder. Banks bled money. Armored cars were ambushed in broad daylight. They targeted businesses, farms, and gold deals worth millions. Every time the police caught them, they vanished again. Every time the government celebrated their capture, fear returned the next day when the news broke. They are gone. The police force became exhausted, the government embarrassed, and ordinary citizens lived in dread. Some said they admired them, whispering that they were like African Robin Hoods. But the truth was bitter. These men brought nothing but pain and loss. At beer halls and late-night firesides, rumors grew. They are not human beings. They are zombies. No bullet can stop them. They drink charms of invisibility. At night, their shadows split into two. That's how they escape. Others believe they carry the blessings of old ancestors, or dark powers bought from Sangomas. Whatever the case, one thing was clear. Chidhumo and Masendeke lived above the law. The government was forced into desperate action. Each time the thieves escaped, it was not just a crime. It was an insult, a wound to the pride of the entire nation. Ministers slammed their fists in parliament. Police generals worked without sleep. If we do not stop them, one official warned, they will turn Zimbabwe into their playground. The people held their breath. For years, no thief had ever broken such records. No thief had made Zimbabwe tremble like this. And in the shadows, Chidhumo and Masendeke smiled, planning their next move. Zimbabwean cities became ghost towns after sunset. People no longer trusted banks, buses carrying salaries, or even the police. Whenever a car slowed near a business at night, whispers spread, "It must be them, Chidhumo and Masendeke." Even those who had never seen them swore they could feel their presence, like a storm in the air. Children were warned never to wander, women clutched their purses, and men avoided traveling at night. The thieves had become more than criminals. They were shadows haunting every street. After yet another robbery, police finally cornered them in Bulawayo. The city erupted in relief. At last they have been caught. But relief turned to horror. Within days, guards checked the cells. The locks were untouched, the walls unbroken. Yet Chidhumo and Masendeke were gone. Crowds gathered outside police stations, shouting, "Are you guarding men or ghosts? Are you working with them?" But investigations found no corruption, no bribery. Not a single guard was guilty. The escape was beyond human understanding. Some said the men had powerful sangomas behind them, feeding them charms of invisibility and strength. Others whispered they had sold their souls to spirits of the underworld. But others believed they were simply criminal geniuses, using tricks, tunnels, and timing that the police could never detect. Still, every time they vanished, Zimbabwe shook with fear. Were these men still human? Or something else? The duo grew bolder. Armored cars were ambushed on dusty highways, money and gold stolen. Banks were robbed in daylight as crowds scattered. Farms were raided, leaving owners broken. And each time the police chased them, but it was like chasing shadows. Zimbabwe bled, and the names Chidhumo and Masendeke became curses on every farmer's lips, every banker's prayer. The nation was drowning in crime. The government had enough. Special police units were formed, helicopters patrolled highways, roadblocks appeared everywhere. But still the thieves slipped through. Finally, orders came from the very top. These men must not live. Their time of terror must end. It was no longer an arrest. It was a war. But not everyone wanted them dead. Some poor villagers whispered, "They are heroes. They rob the rich, not us." Others said, "No, they are demons bringing curses on the land." Zimbabwe was divided between fear and admiration. But one truth stood clear. Chidhumo and Masendeke were no longer just criminals. They were legends. The duo's final strike came like thunder. It was a bank job in Harare. Bold, broad daylight, a move so reckless it felt like they were daring the entire nation. Crowds scattered as gunshots echoed through the streets. Bags of money were dragged into a stolen truck. Sirens screamed from every corner. But this time, the net was already waiting. The government had prepared. Roads were sealed. Helicopters roared overhead. The thieves roared back like lions trapped in a cage. Bullets cracked the air. Tires screamed. And for the first time, bullets cracked the air. Tires screamed. And for the first time, they were outnumbered. The chase ended in blood, dust, and chaos. Chidhumo and Masendeke were finally captured again. But this time the government swore, they will never escape again. Zimbabwe shook once again. Radios buzzed with breaking news. Newspapers screamed, "The legends captured." Crowds gathered outside stations, chanting, shouting, some with relief, others in disbelief. "It's useless," some whispered. "They will escape again." "You'll see." But the government reassured the people. Extra soldiers were stationed. Every lock was checked. Every door reinforced. And yet, the nation could not sleep. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers whispered prayers. Because everyone knew the truth. If they escaped again, Zimbabwe would never recover. Their trial was unlike any before. Courtrooms overflowed with people, eyes burning with rage, fear, and curiosity. Witnesses stood trembling, recalling robberies, ambushes, and prison escapes. Policemen swore they had seen the impossible. The judge's voice thundered across the silent hall. For your endless crimes, for the terror you unleashed upon this nation, for the blood you spilled and the peace you destroyed, there is only one sentence. The crowd gasped. Never before had such a punishment been given in Zimbabwe. Chidhumo and Masendeke were the first. They were taken back to Chikurubi Maximum Prison, the same fortress they once humiliated. But this time it was different. Triple guards at every post, floodlights burning all night. No visitors, no whispers, no chances. And still, rumors spread like fire. They will vanish again. Even death cannot hold them. They are not human, you will see. The guards themselves trembled. For the first time in Zimbabwe's history, the entire prison felt cursed by two men. The government knew one truth. If they are allowed to live, Zimbabwe will never know peace. The order was signed. Execution by hanging. On the morning of judgment, drums of silence echoed across the land. The nation held its breath. Some rejoiced. Finally, justice. Others feared. They cannot die. They will rise again, and in the shadows whispers grew louder. They have strong juju. Even the rope will break. The hanging ground was filled with guards, officers, and government officials. Silence crushed the air. Chidhumo and Masendeke walked with cold defiance, their eyes sharp as knives, their faces calm as if they already knew the end would not be the end. When the ropes were placed, the sky grew heavy. Some swore they saw dark clouds swirling unnaturally above the prison. Others claimed they heard whispers in languages no one understood. The lever dropped, the nation trembled, and for the first time in history, the shadows of Chidhumo and Masendeke were still, or so it seemed. Even after their bodies were laid to rest, Zimbabwe could not rest. Stories spread that at night people saw their shadows walking in the streets. Some said the prison guards heard chains rattling in empty cells. Others swore they saw the thieves standing at crossroads, watching silently. They were not normal men, the old ones whispered. They were legends, and legends do not die. To this day, the names Chidhumo and Masendeke live in whispers, a chilling reminder that some criminals are not just thieves, they are ghosts of history,